Level 1. The job. You became a firefighter because your father was a firefighter, and his father before him, and somewhere in your family. The idea of doing anything else simply never took root, the way it might have. You went through the academy in your early 20s. You learned the science of fire behavior, building construction, hydraulics, emergency medicine. You trained your body for the physical demands until the gear stopped feeling heavy. You learned to move fast in zero visibility with 60 pounds on your back, and breathe slowly when everything in the room was telling your body to panic. You have been doing this job for over a decade by September 2001. You are stationed in Lower Manhattan. You know this part of the city the way you know your own neighborhood. The streets, the buildings, the geography of how everything connects. The World Trade Center towers are part of the skyline you have looked at from the firehouse every single day for years. Tuesday morning, September 11th. Clear sky, cool air. The kind of early September morning in New York that makes people glad they live here. The alarm comes in at 8:46, aircraft into the North Tower. You are on the truck before the full report finishes coming through. That is not a conscious decision. It is 11 years of training living in your muscles. The alarm sounds and your body moves and your brain catches up somewhere on the road heading south. 3 blocks out before you turn the corner and see it, the air changes. It goes from ordinary September morning air to something that has no single name. Burning metal, something chemical underneath it. Jet fuel and everything jet fuel touches when it ignites inside an office building. Your body reads it before your brain translates it. Then you turn the corner. The North Tower is on fire from the top down. The upper floors are pouring black smoke into a sky that was cloudless 60 seconds ago. You can see people at the windows on floors so high, you can barely distinguish them. And paper. Thousands of individual pieces of paper from thousands of desks and filing cabinets and printers is floating down across Lower Manhattan in the windless air like the most wrong kind of snow you have ever seen in your life. You have responded to fires in high-rise buildings before. You know the protocols. You know your job. You grab your gear and you go in. Level 2. The weight. Before the climb means anything you need to understand what you are carrying into that building. Your turnout coat. The heavy fire-resistant jacket weighs 12 pounds. The pants weigh 8. Your helmet weighs 4. Your SCBA, the self-contained breathing apparatus. The tank on your back that feeds you clean air when the atmosphere around you becomes incompatible with staying alive, weighs 35 pounds when fully charged. Add your tools, your radio, your personal protective equipment. You are carrying between 60 and 80 pounds of gear, and you are about to climb a 110-story building. In the lobby of the North Tower, the scene is already what your training calls organized chaos. FDNY chiefs have established incident command at the front desk. Injured civilians are being moved through the space. Burns, lacerations, people in shock sitting against the marble walls with expressions that have gone past fear into somewhere quieter. The sprinkler system has activated on floors above and water is running down the elevator shafts in thin streams and pooling across the lobby floor. The elevators are all out of service. Every single one. Companies of firefighters from across the city are arriving and staging. The chiefs are directing traffic, assigning units, coordinating resources. The radio is alive with transmission after transmission. A chief points toward the stairwell door and says the sentence that defines the next hour of your life. We have people above the fire. We're going up. Level 3. The climb. Stairwell B. Single file, you start at the bottom and you start moving. The first 10 floors feel like hard work. That is normal. The gear is heavy, the stairwell is narrow, the air is warm. This is the physical reality of the job. By floor 15, it has moved past hard work into something more demanding. Your legs are finding the rhythm of the climb, but your lungs are working harder than they want to under the weight of the tank. By floor 25, your lower back is registering the load, and the gear that felt like equipment when you put it on is starting to feel like a permanent condition. You keep going. Every company on that stairwell keeps going, because that is what the job is. Here is what no description from the outside can fully convey about that stairwell. You are going up and coming down against you through the same narrow space, squeezing past you on every landing, pressing against the walls to let you through, is every person who works in this building. Hundreds of them on every flight, thousands of them across the full height of the tower, all streaming down in the direction that every human instinct points when a building is on fire. They are covered in dust and debris from whatever happened on the upper floors. Some are in their business clothes. Some lost shoes somewhere on the way down. Men in suits, women in heels, someone in scrubs. A man in a wheelchair on a landing being carried by 2 strangers who found each other in the stairwell and don't know each other's names. Some are crying openly. Some are silent in a way that is harder to look at than crying. But here's the thing they all do as you pass them going up. Every single one of them looks at you, not with confusion, not with the blank shock of people who have forgotten where they are. They look at you with something specific, something you will spend years trying to find the right word for. They are watching someone walk toward the thing they just ran from. and they understand what that means. They press themselves against the wall, and they make room, and they let you through, and some of them reach out as you pass. Not to grab you, not to stop you, just to make contact for a second with someone moving the wrong direction on purpose. One woman catches your sleeve as you pass her on a landing somewhere in the 20s. She looks at you and she says, "God bless you." You keep climbing. Level 4. The radio. After the 1993 bombing at the World Trade Center, when a truck bomb in the parking garage killed 6 people and injured over 1,000, the city undertook a serious review of emergency response capabilities. One of the findings was that radio communication inside the towers was unreliable due to the density of the steel and concrete structure. The city invested in radio repeater systems, signal boosters built into the building infrastructure specifically so that firefighters could communicate with each other and with command while operating inside the towers. This was a direct lesson learned from the 1993 attack. They planned for exactly this scenario. The repeater system in the North Tower is not functioning on September 11th. You key your radio on the climb and get static. You try again and get a fragment of a voice cut into pieces by interference. You can extract maybe 1 word and 5 from command. The lieutenant 2 floors above you cannot reach the lieutenant 2 floors below. The chief's running incident command in the lobby, 30 floors beneath you, cannot get consistent communication to the units above floor 30. You are climbing a burning skyscraper that is on fire at the top, and you are doing it without a working communication system. You take that information and you put it somewhere in the back of your mind that you are not examining directly. There is nothing to be done about it. The job is the job. You keep moving. Level 5. What the building says. Floor 35. Your lieutenant raises a fist and the company stops on the landing. Everyone finds a wall. Someone takes a knee. You unseat your helmet and wipe your face with your sleeve and put it back. Your water is going fast. Your legs are burning. The climb from here to where the fire is, somewhere above floor 90, is still a long way. You lean and you breathe, and in the relative quiet of the stopped company, you hear the building, not the fire. The fire has a sound, but this is different. The building itself is making sounds that buildings are not designed to make. Long, low metallic groaning from somewhere in the structure above you. Sounds that seem to travel through the walls and the floor under your feet, rather than through the air. Your chest registers them before your ears fully process them. They are the sounds of steel under a load it was not engineered to carry for this long. You look at your lieutenant. He has been doing this job for 19 years. He is standing still with his head slightly tilted, listening with the focused attention of someone taking a diagnosis. You watch his face for information. His face gives you nothing. After a moment, he looks at the company. He says, "Keep going." You keep going. Level 6, 9 to 03. You are somewhere in the mid-30s when it happens. A massive concussive force moves through the foundation of the building, up through the steel superstructure, through the concrete floors, and into your feet and up through your legs. The stairwell shakes. Not a tremor, a shudder. The lights stutter off and back on. Dust falls from somewhere in the shaft above you. Someone behind you stumbles against the wall. No one knows what it was. Your radio delivers noise and fragments. Your lieutenant keys his radio and gets static, and a partial sentence and static again. What you know in this moment, something large just happened. Something that traveled through this building structure. What you do not know, a second commercial aircraft has just flown into the South Tower. The United States of America is under a coordinated terrorist attack using hijacked commercial flights as weapons. And the building you are standing in, the building you have been climbing for 40 minutes, will be standing for less than 90 minutes more. None of that information is available to you on the stairwell at floor 36. What is available to you is the job. There are people above the fire. They called from their office phones. They gave their names and their floor numbers. They said they were trapped and they were waiting for help. You keep climbing. That phrase will live inside you for the rest of your life in a way that nothing else from this day quite matches. You keep climbing because that is the job, and there is no version of the job where you stop on a stairwell because the building made a noise. Level 7. The 12 minutes. Floor 44. A man is on the landing unable to walk. He came down from the 63rd floor. His ankle gave out completely 3 floors back, and 2 women, strangers to him and to each other, helped him this far, but the stairs are narrow and he is a large man, and they are out of energy. You look at him and make the calculation without drama. You take your heaviest tool from your belt and hand it back to the firefighter behind you. You get under the man's arm. You tell the 2 women to keep moving down. The man looks at you. He says, "You should keep going up. There are people up there who need help." You say, "Right now you are the people who need help." It takes 12 minutes to move him down 4 flights to a staging landing where a company coming up can take responsibility for him. 12 minutes during which you are moving down instead of up, during which the rest of your company has continued climbing without you, during which you are falling behind the position you held on the stairwell. 12 minutes that you will think about for the rest of your life. Not with regret, just with full awareness of what 12 minutes meant on that particular staircase on that particular morning. Level 8, 3 words, 9:59 in the morning. You're back in the 30s. You have caught your company. You have water in your hand from a cache someone established on a lower floor. You are 30 seconds from moving again. The sound begins low, continuous, building. Your body identifies it 1 complete second before your conscious mind does. Something in the part of your brain that is older than language recognizes the frequency and the character of what it's hearing and sends a signal up the spine before the thinking part of you has processed anything at all. Then it becomes something with no comparison in your experience. A roar that fills the stairwell shaft from the bottom to the top simultaneously. The building shudders in a way that is completely different from the shudder at 9:03. This is not structural protest. This is structural failure. You feel it in your sternum, in your teeth, in the soles of your feet. The lights die completely. Debris begins falling through the shaft above you. Someone in the company is shouting something you cannot make out. The south tower directly adjacent to the building you are standing in has just begun to collapse. You do not know that yet. You know that the ground is moving in a way ground should never move, and the building around you is making sounds that mean something has gone catastrophically wrong, somewhere enormous. Your body has entered a state of readiness that is beyond what training produces. This is older than training. And then the radio that has been giving you fragments and static for the past hour, now it clears. One transmission comes through completely. 3 words, evacuate the building. Level 9, down. The word moves through the stairwells the way a rumor moves through a crowd, instant and total. Every firefighter on every stairwell in the North Tower receives the order within seconds. Companies that were still climbing stop. They turn around. They start moving down. The stairwell that was already packed with civilians absorbs 60, 80, 100 firefighters who have reversed direction and are now pushing toward the lobby with everything their legs have left. There is no panic. That is the one thing training does that nothing else can replicate. When the absolute worst version of the scenario materializes, the training takes the controls. You move fast. Your legs have been on this stairwell for over an hour and they have nothing left and they are moving anyway because something more fundamental than muscle is driving them. Floor 25, floor 20, floor 15. You can see the lobby lights below you. You come through the stairwell door into a lobby that looks like the aftermath of something. The marble walls are cracked. Every window that faced the direction of the South Tower has blown out. There is debris and dust and water everywhere, and it is dark outside even though 60 minutes ago, it was a brilliant, clear September morning. The cloud from the South Tower collapse has absorbed the sky over lower Manhattan completely. A chief is standing at the building's exit. He has stopped talking. He is pointing northwest with one arm, and the expression on his face does not require any words at all. You go. You come through the doors into the street, and you run. Other firefighters are running. Civilians are running. Police officers are running. Everyone is moving northwest, and nobody is looking at anyone else. Behind you, the North Tower is still standing. You can hear what it is doing, and you know what that sound means now, and your legs do not need to be told to run faster. You make it 2 blocks. At 10:28 in the morning, the North Tower comes down. Level 10, 343. You turn around when you hear the beginning of it because you know exactly what you are hearing. You watch the building fall, floor by floor, in sequence, straight down. 110 stories in 11 seconds. You watch it the way you can only watch something that your brain has not yet built the proper container for. The stairwell you know by feel. The landing on 35 where the building groaned, and your lieutenant listened and said, keep going. The spot on 44 where a man with a bad ankle told you that you should keep going up, gone. The dust cloud moves outward from the base in every direction and takes you where you stand 2 blocks away. It turns the late morning into a gray, textureless nothing that settles over everything. When it clears enough to see, lower Manhattan looks like a different planet. See, New York City firefighters died on September 11th, 2001. Not in the fire, in the collapse. Still inside the buildings, still climbing, still moving toward the people who had called from their office phones and given their names, and said they were on a specific floor and they were waiting for help to arrive. They knew the risk. Every person who puts on that gear and walks toward a burning building understands at some level what they are accepting. That understanding is part of the job from the first day of the academy. You do not arrive at a working fire unaware that buildings fall. But knowing a building can fall and the building falling are separated by everything. They kept climbing because the job was the job, and the job was to get to the people above the fire. That is the complete explanation. There is no more complicated version of it than that. There were people up there, and that was the only math that ever mattered. It was always the only math that mattered. They kept climbing.